Hello there. If you're watching this, chances are you're a step-parent who loves your stepchild like they're your very own. And you've probably wondered about making that incredible bond legally permanent. Well, you've come to the right place. Today we're going to lay out a clear and simple roadmap for step-parent adoption, right here in Alabama. And believe me, this is about so much more than paperwork. It's about solidifying your family's future.
Here at Dani V, Bone, and Sam D. Bone, attorneys at law, we've had the privilege of guiding countless Alabama families through this exact journey. We know how much this means to you, and our goal today is to demystify the whole process. So if you're ready, let's dive right in. We've broken this whole thing down into 6 simple sections. We'll start with what adoption really means in the eyes of the law, then we'll get into who's eligible, how to handle the tricky subject of parental consent, what to expect from the so-called home study, then the timeline and costs, and finally, the best part of all, the final hearing.
So let's start your roadmap right here. You know, a step-parent adoption is such a powerful legal step. It gives your child an incredible sense of stability and security. It's what ensures you have the legal right to make decisions for their health, their schooling, and their future. Not just today, but for the rest of their lives.
So what does this actually mean? Well, the Alabama Code puts it perfectly. It's a judicial act. That's not just fancy legal language. It means a judge officially creates a brand new, legally binding parent-child relationship where one didn't exist before. This gives you every single right and responsibility that a biological parent has. We're talking inheritance rights, making medical decisions, the whole shebang. It is a permanent, life-changing event.
Okay, now that we understand just how significant this is legally, let's get into the first practical step. The big question on everyone's mind is always, so am I eligible? Well, Alabama has some pretty specific requirements you'll need to meet before you can even file the petition.
The good news is, the main requirements are pretty straightforward. First, you have to be legally married to the child's current legal parent. That's a must. Second, the law says the child has to have lived with you for at least 1 full year. And third, pretty simple, you have to be an adult. If you can check those 3 boxes, you are ready to move forward.
All right, let's talk about the next step. And this is often the most challenging and sensitive part of the journey for a lot of families. We're talking about parental consent. It can be emotionally complicated, and the legal rules here are very, very specific.
This is always the big question, right? Do you need to get the consent of the other biological parent, the one you aren't married to? And the honest answer is, it depends on the situation.
So, in a typical case, yes, the other legal parent needs to sign a formal written consent form. They have to voluntarily agree to give up their parental rights so that you can adopt. But, and this is a big but, there are situations where their consent might not be needed. This happens if their rights have already been terminated by a court or if a judge finds that they've given what the law calls implied consent.
So what on earth is implied consent? Well, the Alabama Code spells it out for us. Basically, a court can decide a parent has given their consent without actually saying so if there's clear evidence of abandonment. This could mean they've had no contact and, crucially, provided no financial support for the child for the 4 months right before you file for adoption. It shows that the law is really designed to put the child's stability first.
Look, because this part can be so complicated and emotionally charged, it's really the most critical stage to have an experienced guide. Whether you're trying to get voluntary consent or you think you have a case for implied consent, we can help you navigate it. Just give us a call at Dani V. Bone and Sam D. Bone. Our number is 256-547-1005.
Okay, let's tackle the home study. I know, that term alone can sound really intimidating. It makes you picture someone with a clipboard coming through and judging every little thing about your life. But for a step-parent adoption in Alabama, it's actually quite different.
So is the court really going to send someone to comb through every closet and interview all your neighbors?
And the answer is a big, resounding no. And that's usually a huge relief for families to hear. The law in Alabama makes a clear distinction. For step-parent adoptions, what's required is something much simpler, called a suitability investigation. This investigation is really just focused on one thing, making sure your home is a safe and stable place for the child. It mostly just involves criminal background checks for any adults in the home, checking child abuse registries, and a basic home safety inspection. Think of it as a safety checklist, not some deep dive into your personal life.
Now for the really practical questions that everybody has. How long is this whole thing going to take, and what is it going to cost? Thinking about these things ahead of time is absolutely key to making this a smooth process.
Now, of course, every case is a little bit different, but the process usually follows these 4 major steps. First, we file the petition with the court. Second, we formally notify the other parent. Third, that suitability investigation gets done. And fourth, you have the final hearing. The biggest factor in the timeline is usually how easily we can get that consent from the other parent. When it comes to cost, there are usually three main parts. You have attorney fees, which cover all the legal work, preparing the documents, and representing you in court. Then there's the court filing fee, which is what you pay the county to open the case. And finally, service of process, which is the cost to have the other parent formally notified. A good attorney will lay all of this out for you up front so there are absolutely no surprises. And that brings us to the final stop on our roadmap, the adoption hearing. This is it. This is the moment you have been working toward, the day your family becomes officially and legally one, forever. And we really can't stress this enough. So many people get nervous about going to court, but this is different. The final adoption hearing is almost always a celebration. It's a joyful, positive occasion for you, your child, and honestly, even for the judge. The hearing itself is usually very simple and pretty quick. You, your spouse, and the child will all go to the courthouse. The judge will probably talk with you for a few minutes, ask some simple questions to make sure this is what everyone wants, and then they'll sign the final decree. And in that one moment, it's official. A lot of families even bring a camera to get a picture with the judge. It's a great memory. And the power of that signature is incredible. From that second on, the law sees absolutely no difference between you and a biological parent. Your child can inherit from you, you can put them on your insurance, and you have every legal right to care for them. The old legal ties are gone, and your family unit is legally complete.
So that's the roadmap, from the first step to that final happy day in court. We hope this has made the whole process feel a lot less intimidating and a lot more manageable. You know, taking that first step is always the hardest part, but it's also the most important.
You've already built your family in your heart. This process is just about getting the law to catch up and recognize the beautiful reality that's already there. If you're ready to make your family legally complete, we would be honored to guide you. Give us a call at Dani V. Bone and Sam D. Bone, attorneys at law. Our number is 256-547-1005. We're here to help.